We've been to the theater, and we've watched Wonder Woman 84. Here's what we think next here in the Poindexter Lounge. What's up, nerd family? Welcome once again to the Poindexter Lounge. My name is Enosh, aka Enosh Fett, along with the lovely
Tiff-tastic.
and of course
Isaac Wan Kenobi.
And it is a good day to be in the lounge today because today we are going to do our non-spoiler review of Wonder Woman 84. But first of all, if this is your first time to the lounge, just know that the Poindexter Lounge is
a place for nerds.
That's right. It's a place where you and me and my crew can get together and talk about all the things we love. Things like TV shows, movies, games, sci-fi, fantasy, comic books, superheroes, toys, and so much more. And if those are things that get your blood flowing, if those are things that get you excited, then please hit that subscribe button as well as that notification bell because we want you here. We want you to be a part of this growing community of nerds. And
There's only
exactly-
about 10,000 of us, no big.
No big whoop. Hey, but we are so glad to have those of you who have already done that, and we just we want to add you to the list. We want you to come on over and have a cup of coffee, have a nice cold beverage, whatever your choice, and let's just talk fun stuff. That being said, today we're talking fun stuff.
Christmas Day.
Christmas Day, 2020. It's been a crazy year. It's been a year of ups and downs and challenges all around. And yet today has brought us Wonder Woman 84, the next installment in the DC EU. And that being said, we got to go see it in the theater. And if you've watched the channel at all, you know I'm a big proponent of the theater, and the theater experience. And I was really, really hoping that we would get to see it in the theater, first right away. I was willing. We're in Michigan, and so I was willing to even drive to Ohio.
Yep. And then right now, as of recording this, I'm a quarter of the way through it on HBO Max. So by the time that we get to the spoiler review, I'm going to have it done so I can give my thoughts both watching it in theater and HBO Max.
Yep, and then we're going to watch it tomorrow. And so
Saturday
night, the 26th, we will be doing our spoiler review live with you guys. And we want to do the spoiler review live so that those who have seen the movie already, you can come back. You can give you a couple days to watch it, whether or not you can watch it on HBO Max. Then you can come back and we can talk about it, and the chat can talk about it, and we can have a real discussion and kind of flesh out some of the ideas and some of the thoughts in the movie. But we were able to see it in the theater. Our theaters opened up again this week.
Yep.
And so we were there, front and center, ready to watch Wonder Woman. And Tiffany.
Yes.
What were your initial thoughts of this film?
This film was amazing. It had every kind of feel that you could want from a movie like this. It lived up to its hype of being called 1984. It nailed the time frame. It reminded me of stuff from my childhood. It kind of like brought back that feeling of like it did from Stranger Things. The scene that we saw the previews for in the mall. It was just like, this is what, it was amazing. And then just to see kind of, how far she's come from the first movie, World War I to 1984. Yeah. It just had everything that you could think of, and it made me cry. It made me laugh. It was kick butt. The little girl, all of it. It was very well done, and I can't wait to watch it again.
Isaac, what are your initial thoughts?
Pretty much the same thing. I just thought it was really good all around. Just all 2.5 hours. I wasn't just like, okay, speed back up, or
it wasn't even like, hey, I was engaged for the 2.5.
Yeah, that's the thing. I was engaged for the 2.5 hours. And then one thing that I was also wondering, like, the closer I got to the movie, it's like you have two villains in this movie. And it's like, how is it going to be having more than one villain for one character?
Yeah.
And they did really good with that.
They did.
And then there's just a lot of comic book scenes that are really cool to see, and then just a lot of just good like cinematic shots in that movie. There's a handful of those. And then the post-credit scene we're not gonna talk about it, but
We will the next day.
yeah, but it got all of us excited and caught us all off guard.
Yeah, no, it was that
My jaw was agape.
It was really good. My initial reaction was this movie follows kind of a new, of a different kind of plan. It does. It's not a slow burn, and it's not a thing that just kind of builds up and kind of ramps up. It starts off right out the gate with some action, with some action sequences and some things. And I've seen some people say that it was over the top. I really don't feel that way, and I kind of ask, like, I don't understand what people want then.
Yeah.
Because this was us seeing some backstory, without going into spoilers. It was us seeing an environment and a place where Diana's been, and it was exciting. It was fresh. It was learning more about Diana. It was fleshing out her instruction, as it were. And like where she came from and the ideals that she grew up on and things like that. And you know what? Yeah, I guess it was grandiose. It was, it was crazy and stuff like that. But we're talking about Amazonian goddesses.
Yes.
So I don't understand. I guess I don't understand where people can go to a movie like this and they can suspend their disbelief that there's an island out there somewhere that's absolutely invisible to the naked eye and to mankind in general, and been hidden for
no men live,
for
just
centuries.
Beautiful, tall, kick butt women.
Yeah, and is invisible, and it's the island of the gods. Yet they can't suspend their disbelief that these women could do these crazy feats and do these amazing
Feats of strength.
Yes, these
When they
feats
even
of strength.
said in Wonder Woman 1 that some of them were hand created from Zeus.
Yeah, so I guess my question to you is like, what do you expect? If they were just all standing around eating popcorn and like running around on the beach, that would be boring. I don't understand. This is what you want to see those types of people do. So that I loved, but for me, the movie does. It starts off very grandiose, and then then for me, it did kind of slow down.
Yeah.
But we needed that in between.
Yeah,
because it was filling in the storyline that we didn't get from the first movie.
Exactly. It starts to slow down. It starts to flesh out the story, where the story's going.
We get to learn more about Kristen Wiig's character.
Yeah, well, that's the things I really loved. I really loved Gal Gadot in this. Gal Gadot.
However you say her name.
Yeah, however you say her name. I've heard everything now.
Or even when you talked to Ray Fisher last week, he called her first name Gall.
Yeah, so I give up. But here's the thing.
Her with the face.
Yes. I love Gal Gadot. I think that this movie especially, she really got to become her own.
Yes.
Come into her own. This was her movie.
Yes.
Which is great given the fact that everyone who's in this movie,
Definitely.
because this was definitely her movie. And she has a great supporting cast around her. Like
you see her human struggles in the midst of her being a god.
Yeah, absolutely. Kristen Wiig, you mentioned Kristen Wiig. What did you think of Kristen Wiig's storyline?
The funny thing is I, watching her for the first time has been on SNL, so playing, like the Target lady and, oh my gosh, I know there's a, kind of thing. And so I was wondering how she was going to take on a more serious comic book role. And I love the fact on how she started off. You saw in that 2.5-hour movie all about Kristen Wiig's character, how she started off the geeky nerd, and then the different ways that it built up and
Progressed through the story.
Yes. Yeah. And where her mind was at. Because, well, I can't say more without giving it away, but you saw her.
Well, the whole thing I thought was kind of cool with her villain is throughout the movie, like, okay, she's going to be one of those kinds of villains. And then you get to a certain point in the movie and you're like, oh, okay, she's not that kind, but they set it up to look like she was going to be one of those kinds of villains.
But you also understood when it was explained why those choices were made. So
what I love about both villains,
she was very kick butt and she looked the part. She went from nerd to like sex appeal. It was very cool the way that they did that.
Yeah, it was definitely believable.
Yes,
and one of the things that I did love about this movie too was the villains were relatable.
Yes.
I was really worried actually looking at Pedro Pascal as Maxwell Lord. All the trailers and the stuff. He almost looked kind of plasticky to me, And so like I felt like I was going to be uncomfortable watching him in the movie itself, and I was not. And actually, I related with him. I was shocked and surprised that I related with Maxwell Lord and why he was doing what he was doing, why he was becoming this villain, how he became this villain, and how these things transpired. That impressed me because honestly, I thought that was going to be my cringe about this movie was Pedro Pascal because watching him on The Mandalorian, you know, he's kind of gritty and everything.
Because that's what he has to be.
Exactly. But watching him in this...
You saw the emotions from start to finish with him.
I saw a totally different side of him, but like I said, watching the previews, I thought that he was going to be one way, and he didn't end up being that way.
Yes.
Same
with Kristen Wiig.
Yeah, and so...
But the cool thing was about both of their characters, you saw the struggles on why they made the decisions they made that movie.
And they both didn't set out to be the bad guys.
Exactly, but then also, like you said, making it relatable... watching those two, I feel like if that was my world, I felt like that's believable. Like, it was just the way that they did that. Patty Jenkins is just amazing.
Yeah, Patty Jenkins did a fabulous job with this movie. The movie looks great.
It's visually tasty.
Visually, it's awesome, stunning. Look, I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna just say it straight up, okay? And this is not to offend anybody that I stream with or any of our friends that we've made. Hashtag us united. But I've heard a lot of people, actually, even fans of in the fandom, talking about the cheesiness of this movie. I'm sorry, I don't know how old you guys are, but I grew up in the 80s. In 1984, I was 8 years old. This is straight up a documentary almost of what the 80s were. If you're faulting the movie for being cheesy, then fault the movie for being set in 1984. Because we see a lot of movies and shows that try to capture that time period. You know what I mean?
The most accurate one.
They try to act like, well, this was the 80s or whatever. And the thing is most of the time it's trying to put somebody who looks cool by today's standards back at another time period. Yeah. And that doesn't work.
Which is like, Riverdale kind of does that, but it kind of works most of the time. And then there's sometimes where it's like, it wouldn't work.
Yeah, that's not 80s, you know? And so this was 80s. Yeah. That's how the mall looked in the 80s. If you don't like the pastel colors and the neon lights and all that stuff, then you don't like 80s.
They were wearing the slouch socks. They were it was like, oh my gosh, that's...
Like, people literally went around looking like that. People were literally wearing outfits like that. Yes, they dressed like that. They sounded like that.
But you know what? The 70s had their thing where they had, like the the pop in the collar and the wide leg pants. It would be like telling them in the first movie, that's too old-fashioned because it was set in World War One.
Well, and that's what we talked about. Because that would be like saying, well, the first movie was kind of depressing because it was set in World War One and too old-fashioned. It was old-timey and stuff. That would be like watching Captain America and going, I don't like the fact that, that they did those little skits back then and, the war effort and everything. It's like...
Trying to sell stuff, and that's why he's dressed like that.
Exactly. So I don't understand. I don't understand a lot of the comments.
It was true to the era.
I'm sure we will have many conversations about this going forward with a lot of our friends about this idea of cheese, because I did not once get a cringe feeling from this movie. Like, it was too cheesy.
I'm in a mask, like using my mask to wipe off my tears at certain points. I was laughing out loud. There's certain times that I went, yes, like in the theater. It was amazing.
Flat out.
We'll talk about that on the spoiler review because...
Heck yeah.
Plus, it was fun to see a couple of things that Isaac called just in that first preview reaction that we did. And I was like, oh, you were right.
Yep. Lot of great things there. I will say this. It's not a perfect movie.
No.
So don't...
But it's pretty darn good.
Don't take it that I think it's a perfect movie, because I don't think it's a perfect movie. It's got some flaws. It's got some what seems like contradictions.
Yeah. Especially to one specific line in BVS.
Yeah, with things in the DCEU, but But
then there's one-liners that Diana say that you're just like, and it explains something completely.
Well, you
fully.
relate to her too sometimes in the movie.
Yeah, and I'll say that too because there's lines that we'll talk about in the spoiler review that I'm just like, you don't even think it was a whole different perspective.
Yeah, and I think too, like even though it's not, like, we got to remember that at this point, we didn't feel that we didn't know that the DCEU was going to continue in some format, right? So for this movie, this makes kind of sense. There's a couple things that don't
because this was announced a little after Shazam or around the time of Shazam, wasn't it? And Shazam was after all the Justice League stuff.
Yeah. So, but I do feel that this Wonder Woman still fits in with Zack Snyder's
very much
world, and it's just in a different time period.
When this one ended, it felt like it could be directly linked to Zack Snyder's movie.
I really feel that.
That's what I felt.
Look, time period is whatever. Let's talk about real quick before we kind of wrap this up. Steve Trevor.
Yep.
Look, it's not a spoiler. Everybody has seen that Steve Trevor's in the movie.
You just don't know how, why, or in what capacity.
Yeah.
And you'll find that out when you see the movie.
They did his character really good.
Oh my gosh.
I love the way that they did it. I love the explanation.
Yeah. The things that we saw in the previews, we was like, oh, this is the trash can. They expound on that so much more, and it's heartwarming, it's heart-wrenching, it's...
Like, even though you see that scene in the trailer where he's like, oh, it's a trash can, it's still funny in the theater.
Yes, I still laughed out loud.
Yeah, because of everything else you see in the movie with him.
Yeah. We'll talk about it in the spoiler
it's hard not to say anything during this review.
We'll talk about it in the spoiler thing. I love, first of all, how they brought him back. I maybe would have wanted to seen a little bit more pushback from Diana on who he was. That he was Steve Trevor. But we'll talk about that more in the spoiler review. But
just the way that you said that and the things that I can't talk about makes my heart skip a beat right now, because I understand as a woman why she did what she did because of the responses she made throughout the movie.
Yeah, no, I get it.
I'm not excusing it. There's just certain things that it's a line that she says that I can't say right now during the spoiler that explains it completely to me.
Yeah, like I said, I would have just liked to have seen maybe a little bit more of her go, wait a second, how is this possible? You know what I mean? Like not just accepting, but... But
what was she looking at and talking about where it was more plausible before that happened?
That's true. Yeah. So I think overall, the movie looks great. If you're a fan of the 80s like I am a definite fan of the 80s, and I'm nostalgic as all get up.
That's the reason that you loved the Stranger Things, because when we finally watched it, not only did we love the show, the pacing, the storyline, but you're just like, oh my gosh, the video games. Oh my god, like they encapsulated the 80s.
Yes.
And they're doing that now with the 90s with the last season, so I'm excited to see where they progress to this next season.
Yeah, so look, if you're a fan of the 80s and you don't mind that, you're going to like this, because that's what this... that's what this is. I'm very nostalgic for the 80s. I love the music. I love the era. I love just everything about it. And so this right here to me, it's not cheesy at all. To me, it's just accurate.
It was the perfect amount of nostalgia.
It's great storytelling. It's good to see Wonder Woman be Wonder Woman.
Yes.
Because she was definitely... There are some things in this movie that I knew it. I knew a couple of things that I called from the trailer, and I was like, that's going to be this. And it was like, yes. But even though I was able to call it, it still felt fresh, and it was satisfying. It was so cool the way that they did some of these long-standing Wonder Woman thoughts and ideas.
What about this?
Yeah,
it was so nice.
Some of these things that have gone along with Wonder Woman for years and years and years, that may have been that it was going to be really easy for it to be cheesy. Yeah, there's a couple of things that could have been
easy to be cheesy.
Yes, there's a couple of things that done wrong could have been horrible. Could have totally taken you right out of the movie, but yet they have her do something, and it's like.
And then when that happens, you're like, wait, this takes place in the past, which means technically she could still do this by the time of Justice League.
Yes. And then, new power sets, even, which I'm always glad of. It's just, I need to watch it again. This movie was fun. It was a great time out. I'm so glad we got to see it in the theater, because I'm just telling you, if you get to see, if you can see this movie in the theater, I still have yet to see it on TV.
That's why I think we loved it so much, is because we got that theater experience the first time, and now I'm excited to watch it again on HBO Max.
I'm telling you right now, guys.
I don't want my theaters to go away, so that's another reason that I'm supporting them.
I know a lot of people all over, do not have the opportunity. If you don't have the opportunity, you got to see it.
We have friends of ours that have to watch it tonight on HBO because they want to see it, but also they don't have an open theater within 200 miles. So we understand that. But if you do, Support your theater.
Support your theater. I had a long talk. I had a
away.
long talk with Tom, our theater manager, afterwards, and
We were hungry, but we knew that this talk had to happen.
yeah. And I'll tell you what, we're gonna have Tom on the channel
Yes.
sometime because he loves film and he just
He gets it.
he gets it and actually confirmed a lot of the things that I've been talking about
Yep.
about like the fact that specifically to address real quick just with some of our friends. Rom-coms. You gotta have rom-coms.
You gotta have all of it.
People gotta be able to go see rom-coms because people go see rom-coms. I think sometimes we
It's a
think
cheap
that
date.
if
It's
it's not
something that's
my type of movie, well, nobody's into that. But there are. But that being said, Wonder Woman 84. If you could see it in theaters, go
Yes,
see it in theater
do it.
first because it's definitely that kind of experience movie. I'm so glad that I got to see
Yes.
this on a huge screen. That I got to experience and take it all in, and
now I get to break it down on
now
HBO.
I can go back and watch it on HBO Max. Take my time. If I
Pause it if I
gotta
need-
get up and go to the restroom or go get some more popcorn.
Because
or
I had to
whatever.
run in, I drank a coffee before, because it was
Yeah.
Christmas morning, and then I was like, oh man, I don't want, and so I waited till I knew that I could hurry and run and get back, and it's just like, you didn't miss anything.
Yeah.
This is what happened.
You left.
Yeah.
But now we can pause, do
Yeah.
that, grab more popcorn.
So, but whatever you do, just see Wonder Woman 84.
Do it.
And we would love to hear your thoughts. Saturday night, Saturday evening, be looking for
Spoilery review.
spoiler review, and we will go over that. I will ask one.
Mm-hmm.
Out of 10, what do you give this film, Tiff?
10.
10.
There were a couple things that I was just like, but the feels, the emotions, the awesomeness, the kick butt, the storyline, the way that it ties in with everything else, that I can see it continuing on in the DCEU and tying into everything else. Everything to me was a 10.
Isaac, what do you give it?
A little bit lower, go 9.5.
Okay.
There was only thing I disliked about it, except for just one thing that we'll talk about tomorrow in the spoiler review that you and I agreed on,
Yeah.
which we talked about that
Okay.
from BVS.
All right.
And
I'm
that's
going to go a little bit lower.
Yeah.
Because I don't think that it's perfect, and I don't want to just give it a
Yeah.
perfect score because I want to
Yeah,
keep
so
that perfect score for something that I really feel is over the top good. I'm gonna say it's an 8.5 to a 9 for me.
Yeah.
Just because there are a couple of things that that I just felt could have been done a little bit better. But it was like seriously, this was so great. The worst part of the whole movie for me really was seeing Jeff Johns' name on it. I kind of looked up at the screen and went boo, and then when I saw Zack Snyder and Deborah Snyder's name, I was like yay! So there you go. But hey, let us know what you guys thought of the movie down in the comment section below. We would love to hear from you. Also, congratulations to Corey Flores Bronco.
Bracco, however you say it. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's my fault. I'm sorry. I don't have it in front of me. But Corey, congratulations to you for winning our giveaway for this week, which was our Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 5-pack movie.
Perfect Christmas gift.
This week, coming up, in honor of Wonder Woman 84, our giveaway is this Patty Jenkins pop vinyl figure. And all you got to do,
pretty?
all you got to do to win this is to be either a Patreon subscriber, a member of the channel. Welcome to our new members. I gotta even make a new thing with a new member, which is Dravwalker. Welcome Dravwalker as our newest member of the channel.
That puts you in the running for this sweet lady.
Absolutely. Or, of course, all of our, if you give a super chat at any time during any one of our videos, you're all included in this as a possible winner. So do that, and we'll give this away.
Join
next week.
those of us in the lounge that have one, because Santa brought me one too.
Absolutely. You can have one just like Tiff. All right. That being said, thanks for joining us on this non-spoiler review. We hope that you enjoyed it, and we hope that you guys like Wonder Woman 84 just as much as we did. Until next time, my name is Enosh, a.k.a. Enosh Vet, along with the lovely
Tiff-tastic.
and, of course,
Isaac One Kenobi.
saying, be careful what you wish for.
Yeah, it just might come true.
Just might come true. Until next time, stay nerdy.